People, welcome back to channel. This is Let's Talk Ball, and today we have a few interesting links that came about in the morning. So we're just gonna go straight into them. Um, so earlier today there were links everywhere about Chelsea making inquiries about Isak, and as much as I will take him on this team immediately expeditiously. It's just one of those links that it's just going to be a link. If you look at the potential cost of how much he's going to be, it's going to be up there. Um, the club would have to go past 115 they paid for Moises Caicedo, and I just don't see that happening. If you look at how Chelsea's trying to operate right now with their wage structure and whatnot, this does not seem like a deal that they would make. Um, but then again, there's been reports that says in the lines of like the wage structure is really flexible based on the player and your body of work. So if they wanted to get someone like Isak and they know maybe paying him 150, 160 is not going to do it, then they might take it up to 180, maybe 200. Maybe offer them what they reportedly offered Olise. Now what do I think about this league? Realistically, like I said, I don't see it happening. He's one of those guys who prior to coming to Newcastle and when he played for Real Sociedad, his goal output wasn't the best, and Newcastle still took a punt on him, and now he's legit one of the best strikers in the Premier League. He is clinical. His hold up play is really good. Um, his link up play is great. Intelligence is up there. Movement, quality. I mean, this guy has everything you're looking for in a striker. So if there's a way, to get him into that team, you got to do it ASAP. But I just don't see how that's going to. Um, I don't see how that deal is going to happen now. Other people online said, well, why would he leave Newcastle? Why would he join Chelsea? Um, and I understand, like, for the last 2 years, we have been really poor, right? We've been bad. But I think people sometimes go overboard when they think, certain players will choose certain projects over other ones. Why would you don't I don't see a lot of top players saying, you know what, forget London, I'm gonna go to Newcastle and play for Newcastle. That's just not happening. In as much as people would like to believe that, I just don't see that happening. Now, if this is someone in his case, when he went to Newcastle, not everyone was really hot on him like that. There might have been a few teams looking at him, but for the most part, not a lot of teams wanted to pay that because potentially they didn't think he was going to be worth that. But now, 2 years, and he's really proven that he actually is that guy. So for Newcastle, it was a steal back then, even though we really probably didn't see it. But now I don't see how. I get it. We've not been good, right? But I think that disrespect is still getting a little bit louder. We have the history, we have the location, we have some quality in the team. So it's not one of those situations where people are gonna ask themselves, why would I want to go there? I just don't see that happening. But with the quality that he would add to this team, yeah, it's one of those. If you can make a deal happen, you make a deal happen. If you can offer some money, add a few players to it, you do that. because it one, he has experience in the league. You know, it's not the most important thing, only because there have been a lot of guys who came from other leagues and came in and then they did their thing. You know, Holland was one of those guys. Came into the league, people thought he would struggle. He went with it. So for me, yes, sometimes we've seen certain players come to the league and struggle to adapt, but he's at home. You know, he's been here 2 years. He's still young enough, 24, 25. This is one of those, if you can make it happen, you just make it happen. So, but I just don't see it. Now, another thing is, why would he leave Newcastle? Well, because maybe Chelsea is in Europe and Newcastle isn't. I thought being in Europe was something, important for players to consider when they want to make a move. So why wouldn't this also translate? I know it's the Conference League and it's really not glamorous at all, but it's still a form of Europe. It's still a form of exposure, where you can still do well. You can stat pad in those games. You can help the team, It's just there's a lot of reasons why someone will leave Newcastle to go to Chelsea, and if they want to put the money up, and that's the thing, everyone has a price. If Chelsea puts the money up, he's going to Chelsea. But would they do it? Not with this wage structure. Not with this wage structure. Which brings me to another thing about the Olise deal, because people are still saying that he rejected Chelsea. Others are saying Chelsea walked away. When the initial reports came, it said Chelsea walked away. They withdrew from the race because they didn't feel like the wage package they offered was going to be accepted along those lines, according to Fabrizio. And and then it came out next that he chose Bayern because that's where he wants to go. Cool. But the question will be though, if Chelsea does decide to pay, I don't know, 120, 130 for Isak, wouldn't that just mean that they believe Isak is worth the hustle, he's worth the expense? Because surely they have to, another report came, was it Simon Johnson, that said that there is really no strict, like wage policy. It's about your body of work. So then, if they do go offer that money for Isak, then it just simply means they feel like he's more valuable than the Olise deal. Now, again, I would have loved Michael Olise in this team. I would have loved him. I still want him right now, but it's not happening. When you look at who he would have replaced like for like, and now everybody says everyone is an expert on Enzo Maresca. So they say he plays no number 10s. He plays two eights, 1 6, fullbacks, and a striker. Okay, cool. So then the number one starter on that wing is Cole Palmer. Now, would you say Olise is better than Cole? I personally wouldn't say so. I think they're both really good players. They're different profiles, but I'll take Cole Palmer over Michael Olise any day. So if this team decides they want to go spend some stupid money on Isak, then it means they believe that his package, what he offers, the fundamentals, the necessities that we need, or what we're looking for, is what they're willing to pay for. I mean, it's possible. Also, Olise decided to go to Bayern Munich. It is possible that he said to Chelsea, okay, well, you guys don't have Champions League. So instead of paying me X amount of money, I want X amount of money guaranteed. And if Chelsea says, yeah, we can't do that, then he's going to pick the team that offers more stability, Champions League football, and more money than Crystal Palace. I think that's something I would have done myself. Because if you're not offering me Champions League football and I still want to join you, then I'm going to have to leverage a lot of other things into that deal. I wouldn't want to come into your wage structure where, if we don't qualify for this, I'm getting a 30% cut. These are possible, you know, nuances that were in that deal where he said, maybe, nah, I don't want no wage deductions. This is what I want since you don't have Champions League. And Chelsea said, yeah, we can't pay for this. And he said, okay, I will go to Bayern Munich, play Champions League, make more money, and take my career elsewhere. So I think it's one of those where it's like, yeah, you lose some, you got to lose some, and you're gonna win some, right? But he chose Bayern. Whether he rejected us or we walked away, we didn't get him, you know. But the club is within the rights to say, well, yeah, we don't think based on your, your output, based on your games, based on your availability, we want to put that money on you, and especially if we already have two other people that can fit into that role that you might be coming into. Because don't get it twisted, Cole Palmer is still a very good right winger. We still have Noni on the books. We have Esteval that we signed, and then we have Kendrick Pius. So that's four options that in 2 years, um, Pius and Esteval are going to come back. But currently, we still have two guys on the right. So if you look at in terms of strikers, we have Nicholas Jackson, and the rest were sent out on loans throughout the season. So clearly, these guys are most likely going to be sold or loaned out or whatever's going to happen. So for me personally, if Isak is available and he wants to join and Newcastle are open to making a deal, you do it. You do it and you don't ask any questions and you keep it moving. So for me, in as much as I liked the link, I just know it's unrealistic. I don't see it happening anytime soon. So it's just you gotta just let that one go. But if Newcastle are interested in striking, yeah, then maybe we can talk. And also like if you look at where both teams can go in terms of Chelsea, Newcastle, on a different trajectory, right? If you look at where they might both be in a couple of years, do you see again? You can let me know in the comments. Do you see Newcastle having a better trajectory, or do you see Chelsea having a better one? Because I know for a fact that, well, you matter of fact, let me not say I know for a fact, but I have a feeling, because saying I know for a fact is guaranteed and we don't do guarantees. I have a feeling that we're going to do better than them next year and the year after, only because I just know that we have a bit more stability now, right? We finished above them last year. We had injuries, they had injuries, but we started off really horribly. We won 5 games on the bounce, and then we finished ahead of Newcastle. So the potential to just be better is higher. Another thing that I'm still trying to get my head around is people say Chelsea has no pool. Chelsea has what do you call it? Why would anybody want to go to Chelsea besides the wages? Um, why wouldn't they want to go to Chelsea besides their wages? Like the answer is legit in your own question. If I'm a player and I know a team is going to offer me an 8-year guarantee deal, I know I'm set. Now, you might not like the fact that, well, someone is coming in just for the money, but that's still a pull. If you're going to offer more money than somebody else, you still have to pull. At the end of the day, the player can decide, I don't want the money. This is where I want to go. So if they don't want to go to you and want to go where the money's at, then you don't have no pull because you could have also thrown that money, the same amount of money around and gave them a choice. Because now Chelsea's performance is allegedly, that we offer so much more money than everybody else. And, you know, so let me pull up how much some of these guys are on. Yeah. I made myself some notes today. So I'm gonna look between Chelsea, Liverpool, and Man United. I'm gonna pick just a few players, and then we're gonna do the comparisons, right? So If you look at Liverpool, and I'm not even gonna take the like the best players on the team. I'm just gonna take the more meaty ones, right? The more okay squad players. So Grind what's his name? Gravenberch or Gravenberg, whatever his name is. He's on £150,000 a week. He can barely get into Liverpool's team. He's always on the bench. Curtis Jones plays ahead of Gravenberg, and he makes 150 a week. Okay. Soboslai had didn't really have a good season last year. It was actually one of the worst signings in the league. He's on 120. Okay. Um Simicas is on 75 a week. Who else do we have? McAllister, I like, he's on 150, so he's not part of this group. I'm just talking of like the guys who just ain't good quality enough to be making a lot of money. But Bacetic, yeah, Bacetic is on 40 grand a week. Matip, who has not played almost all year, is on 120, but I actually like him. He's a very solid defender. So I can't even really say anything crazy. But I just picked out Simicas, Gravenberch, and if you look at everybody else on their team, Mohamed Salah makes about 350 a week. Virgil makes 220. Thiago Alcantara was making 200 a week. 200. And my guy barely played any games. 200 a week. Um, and then you look at the likes of Allison, McAllister, Diogo Jota is on 140, right? So people keep saying that Chelsea have a big wage structure. So I'm gonna pull it up. Um, the highest earner at this club is Sterling, who makes 325. Now Sterling, Reece James, Fofana, and Kunku, all these guys were bought in before the director of footballs. The directors. These guys were bought in before these guys came in. So again, I think people always leave out that context because when it was just Bowley making decisions, apparently, then people were getting paid good. But once the structure came into the team, now not everyone was making crazy amounts of money. So you got your Raheem Sterling's, Reece James, Fafana, Chilwell who's on 200, and Nkunku who's on 195. Right? Enzo is on 180. Cucurella is on 175. Caicedo's on 150. And you look at Mudrich is on 100. Chukwemeka is on 100. And Levi Colwell is on 100. Now, Cole Palmer, one of our best players, is on 75. Nicholas Jackson is on 65. Noni's on 50. And the reason why I actually decided to pull this was because Liverpool fans kept saying Caicedo left because of the money. He didn't want to join Chelsea. He wanted to join. He didn't want to join Liverpool. He wanted to join Chelsea because of the money. Caicedo makes 150, same as Ryan Gravenberch. Just deep that for a second. They both make the same amount of money, and Gravenberch can't even get into the team. He's not an awful player, but he can't. If you can't get in ahead of Curtis Jones and Harvey Elliott, then what are you doing? Like that's not good enough. And of course, Romeo Lavia, guess how much he's on? He's on 45K a week. I'm sure he didn't join Chelsea because of the wages. He joined for whatever reasons he wanted to. Liverpool had the chance to sign him. They dilly dallied on it. Instead, went for Moises Caicedo, who was more expensive. And Chelsea said, "All right, we'll take both off of your hands." That's it. So the reason for doing this is not to show that Some of these players are coming for the money. Like, bar like six people who make over 150. Everybody else is relatively on very cheap wages. Very, very cheap wages. All under 100. So again, these deals have been amortized over what? 8 years, 9 years. They want to pay it off little by little. And in the middle of that, they're always going to find like some academy player and sell them. Sold Ian Matson for 37.5. Sold Lewis Hall for like another 30. Like, and that's one thing about Chelsea. They know how to sell players. I think people still forget the context that they sell a lot, and even though yeah they spent a bill, they still sold over five. I know they say net spend is not a thing, but I mean you're still able to sell to buy. Now, did the club waste money? Potentially, because not everyone has worked out. But I can only really look at two players who have really, really just not looked like good investments, which has been Sterling and Mikhailo. Everyone else has been pretty solid to me. So you take that as you want, but I don't think a lot of these guys are coming for the money. But even if they are, well, that's the pull. You offer the same amount of money and you give them a choice, give them a chance, give them a choice to pick your team. And if they still don't go to you, well, then they don't want to come to Liverpool. And another thing I wanted to address was, when Chelsea are being linked with, the likes of Duran and all these guys, the consensus is you guys are not serious. What are you doing? This, that. But then when they get linked with Isak and the big names, then it's like, yeah, you guys ain't gonna get him. Like, stop wasting your time. It's like, what do you want them to do? Do you want them to go for the big names, or do you want them to just keep going for the mediocre ones? I don't understand that. Like, we went from Osimhen, to your Duran, to your Maradons, now Isak, and another person I want to highlight, Dovbik. I think I mentioned in one of my videos. He is looking like Darwin Nunes. He's moving like a Darwin Nunes in this Euros. Yo, my guy could not hit a barn door. This this is the man who scored 20 something goals in La Liga. Couldn't even get not one. He was looking like a scrub out there. Okay. Like, this is baby Holland. Yeah, no. This ain't baby Holland, man. This is baby Dovbik. That's what he is. Because he did not look good. He did not look good at all. So no, that's not it. Um, but I also want to touch on the Georgia Portugal game. I mean, that was a very good game. When I think once I was watching the game, at some point they brought the rankings, and I think Georgia was like ranked 72nd, and Portugal was six. If you've never watched football before and you just started watching that game, you would have thought Georgia was Portugal. Like, that's how good they were. They played really well. They played with no fear. They played through the lines. They counterattacked. They defended well. They scored some good goals. And I want to highlight three people: Kvaratskhelia, um, the number 22, and the number six. Because I realize a lot of their names end with Vili. So all the Villies, big up, because they put on a show. Georgia they were cooking Portugal. Now, again, context. Portugal made about 8, 9 changes to the lineup, but you're still Portugal. Like, that lineup, the second lineup is like the dreams of certain teams in this competition right now. These are guys who probably, will command big, big, big transfer fees, big wages. And they were just bucked off the field, man. Georgia was cooking. And it's been like the theme of this Euros. The underdogs, the teams that we're not all looking at are the ones that are really doing well. So I'm just enjoying it. I'm really enjoying watching these games. The big games, not so much. They just snooze fest. You could take a nap, wake up, and the games are still going. So, um, but I wanted to shout out Georgia. I mean, they played some nice stuff. Like I was watching Georgia and I was like, yo, these guys are really on it. They were what? And they're I think they're number 22. He's a guy who scored like 3 goals in the competition. And I don't know why his playing style reminded me of is it Saeed Ben Rama? I don't know. It was just something about him that reminded me of Ben Rama. I can't put my finger on it, but he's a nice, tidy player as well. I want to shout out Georgia. They had a good game. But guys, this was supposed to be a short video, but I just wanted to throw some things out there. Please like, share the video, subscribe to the channel, say anything you want in the comments. I would like to read it. If I said anything you disagreed with, let me know in the comments. This is for you know, this is let's talk ball. Oh, I almost ruined that for y'all. But yeah, let's talk ball, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.